reporting.
To Chester have come Barbara, the polar bear, and her mate from the Arctic, and Molly, the Malayan bear from the tropics, to say nothing of Trotsky from Siberia. The grounds of Chester Zoo are among the prettiest in the north. They are spacious enough to provide ample grazing for bison.
But there's a lot more to Chester than the grazing for bison outlined by Pathy back in 1944. It's just been voted one of the top 5 prettiest cities in Europe in a survey of Americans, beating Venice, Budapest, Paris, Rome and Prague. So does it deserve the accolade in USA Today? Stephen Mosley is the Conservative MP for Chester and Katerina Pavlitova is from Prague's Tourist Board. So Stephen Mosley, you must have been a bit surprised when you heard about this.
I'm not surprised because I live in Chester. I know how beautiful it is. It's a city that's 2,000 years old and it's got everything. It's got Roman walls, a Roman amphitheatre. It's got the medieval rose. It's got the Victorian Eastgate clock. It's a beautiful city, but it's just great to be recognised alongside with some of these fantastic European cities.
Katerina, have you got any Roman walls?
We do not, I'm sorry to say, and I have to congratulate Chester on its victory over us, and I have to say everybody here in Prague was positively crushed by this defeat, and we're all scratching our heads about what we can do better to beat Chester next year, perhaps.
Had you heard of Chester before this?
I actually have heard of Chester. And I have been to the UK several times, so I even had an idea where it's located, and it sounds like a wonderful city, and really congratulations.
Now, one of the things, Stephen, that was pointed out in the survey is the fact that very little of modern life has touched Chester.
Absolutely. It's an ancient city, but it's had 2,000 years of history. And we've got architectural styles going back all the way 2,000 years. We've got the Saxon, we've got the medieval, we've got the Georgian, we've got the Tudor, we've got everything. And we have modern buildings as well. And I think it's actually the eclectic design of the city which actually makes it so pretty. It's somewhere that you can go and you can see every sort of architectural style.
Well, Katerina, I've been to Prague, and I have to say your architecture isn't too bad either, is it?
Thank you very much. Yes, I mean, we are one of the UNESCO Heritage List, recognized sites. But yes, Prague has also a very long history of architecture, perhaps not as long as Chester, but maybe because Prague is a larger city, it's about 10 times the size of Chester, and our center is quite extensive. We might be able to claim that perhaps we can rival Chester in terms of the wealth of architecture we offer. In fact, what's interesting about Prague's history, and one of the things that makes it unique among European cities, is that it has gone through periods of great flourishing when it was really the European center of culture, such as in the 14th and the 16th and early 17th century. And then those periods were followed by periods of relative obscurity, which meant that we weren't continually raising and replacing our buildings the way some larger cities were, thinking of Paris, for example. But today you have this mixture of styles that are right next to each other because we are forced throughout history to just adapt our buildings. So, you could say about almost any building in Prague's historical center that it's like an onion. You start peeling the layers off. You might have, a 19th century neo-Baroque facade, but
underneath
you go
it
under
all.
that. And yeah, it's very, very pretty, and you go deeper and deeper and deeper until you get to the Gothic core, usually from the 14th century.
So, Stephen Mosley, there are perhaps advantages in relative obscurity when it comes to preserving architecture.
Absolutely, but we want to make sure that everybody comes to Chester. We've got a massive range of things on in the run-up to Christmas. It's incredibly pretty during the Christmas period, and I'd encourage everyone to come to Chester. But I'm just delighted that Chester's now being compared with cities like Prague, with cities like Venice, with Paris, because that's where we need to be. International tourism is so competitive, and we've always got to stay on top of our game. And
final word to you, Katerina. I bet you'd say that your beer was better.
Well, our beer is certainly better, which is true of the entire Czech Republic. But perhaps we have more beers on offer than even Chester has. My country is home to the Pilsner style, but we have a fantastic range of small and mid-sized breweries now in Prague, making everything from Pilsners to stouts to even IPAs. And I will challenge anybody to come to Prague and declare that.
Well, I'm waiting the letters from brewers from Chester about that. But thank you very much indeed, Stephen Mosley, Katerina Pavlitova. And our closing headline: the Scottish